Hey, what's up guys? This is Brian at Whisper Status 74. Welcome to the community, welcome to the channel. If this is the first time you are seeing me, please consider liking and subscribing. We are real tech for real people. Today we'll be talking about pricing. You've seen the G1 prices leaked, the C1 prices. I have official C1 prices myself. I can speculate on G1 prices. I have AK NanoCell prices I can speculate on and have an inside source that I can't name. I also have Samsung's Q900A at 85-inch AK price that I can confirm, and we'll cover that after the intro. Hey, what's up guys? This is Brian from Whisper Status. We're going to be talking about some pricing today. I am incredibly behind. I have videos ready to launch. I have hands-on A90J time, which I was filming at Value Electronics. You guys checked out that Value Electronics tour that we also did. Thank you so much. That video did amazingly well. We're also going to be there either Monday or Tuesday to have some hands-on time, film the same way with the Samsung 85-inch Q900A 8K Neo, which I think is going to be where Samsung really flexed that mini LED. Many of you are very disappointed on what you're seeing from early reviews and user reviews on this very platform. We'll do a separate video on that when I cover the 8K Neo. I actually had to redo a Best Buy video because it doesn't matter because I need to do it this week. But the pricing that's been leaked, we've seen pricing leaked on many other channels, and I don't like to talk about prices that aren't official yet. But I do have some that are very close to official. I can give you the C1 prices, which are everywhere anyway. But what I want to do is talk about not just the pricing, but what that means for you guys and what that should mean for you guys making a choice right now. So the pricing from LG and from LG specifically is extremely aggressive this year. Now, I was battling with somebody in the comments about the G1 prices costing X amount of dollars. I thought they'd be much more expensive. I really expected the G1 prices to be not quite as expensive as the Sony A90J, but I figured because it's the Gallery Edition, it would be much more expensive. So let's not get too far into that tangent. This will be a long video. I just do them long. I'm also extremely behind in my comments, so I very much apologize for that. I've had a plumbing disaster at my home. My home theater is going to be getting ripped up, unfortunately, because we had a lot of damage, which is why you see me up in my living room. But I still want to get back to your comments. If you have a comment that's pressing, please resubmit it here. I do respond to as many comments and questions as I can. It means a lot to me to get back to you guys. So if your comment was more than just a hello and you have an actual question, please resubmit it here. I will go back and get to those comments as well. Again, it's very important to me, and I apologize for being behind on that. This pricing does affect my choice going forward as well, but more so because my main theater is being ripped up and I won't have a place to put my TV anyway. So that's pretty much the biggest reason why you're seeing me personally make a change. That'll be a whole separate video, 3 minutes in. So the C1 prices have been leaked. They have been confirmed for me and on Value Electronics website, Robert Zohn. I can confirm prices from him for the C1. I can confirm prices for him for the the Samsung Q900A as well. I can confirm those prices from him. The other prices I have are speculation, and they're from other sources that I cannot name, but I can still list them. Since everybody else is doing it, I don't know why I'm waiting for official prices, but at least give you ballpark figures of what to look at, especially from the LG mini LEDs that are coming, which are going to be very interesting for many of you, especially since they're 8K and they're not as expensive as I personally thought they would be. So I'll say with this, before I jump to the G1, we're going to talk about the C1's pricing. You're looking at 48 inches for $13.99. 55 inches for $15.99, 65 inches for $2,299. The 77 inch is $34.99, obviously $3,499, and the 83 inches is $6,000 plus, or about $6,000. Now, quickly about the C1 pricing. I purchased my CX last year, and it was more money at launch than it is here at launch. So that's definitely down in price significantly. And the 48 inches are always going to be a bit more expensive. I think they want to charge a premium for that small form factor for people. You're seeing that with Sony. So being that they're smaller, they have a certain point where they still have to make the money, and I think they want to charge you for that technology in a small, low-profile design. So don't expect those to be very cheap, but that for OLEDs, keep in mind, these are OLEDs that are this expensive. The C7, I want to say maybe even the C8 was probably $12,000 at 77 inches at launch. The C8 was also very expensive. We saw the C9 was relatively affordable. I mean, in proper context, relatively affordable. But you're looking at lower prices. Very aggressive pricing by LG. Keep in mind as well, though, guys, I know I got a lot of heat from my 4K is being phased out video, but phasing out doesn't mean abrupt. That means phasing out. So for me, to spend a ton of money on a 4K panel doesn't make a lot of sense if the next one's going to be 8K. So you're seeing 4K prices come down as 4K is being faded away. Now, faded, it might be 2 or 3 years from now before they're completely gone, but that's why you're seeing aggressive pricing. I honestly think LG is being aggressive because of the home run that the C9 was and the home run of the CX, being that they had such full feature sets, and Sony having aggressive pricing in regards to their Master Series. And we talk about this with Master Series as it's not just a moniker. It's their calibration, it's their build quality, it's their cable management, it's their audio system. But, you know, LG has had their gallery line, their E-Series, their higher end. They were basically the same TV, just build quality was different. But a lot of people didn't see those in store. So they were always comparing the C-Class to the Master Series. So whether you believe it's marketing or not, you are going to pay a premium for the Master Series. And I think LG is using that to their advantage here. Now, the G1 prices, I cannot... so those prices from the C1, those are from Robert Zohn at Value Electronics. I can put his name on those. I cannot put his name on the G1 prices. They have not been released yet, but they are ridiculous as far as how affordable they are. 55-inch G1. Again, this is their gallery edition. It does have the built-in AT, the antenna. I always get that acronym mixed up, for the tuner, for future broadcasting, and it's minimalist. It can be flushed to the wall. Now, there are, for the GX and the G1s, there are feet that you can buy where it can, they're not very fancy, and you can also buy a tripod, I believe, for the larger panel. But for them to have the 55-inch at $19.99 when my CX of last year was that, basically, at 55 inches. The 65 inches is $27.99. That's $2,799. Again, these are all US dollars. I should have said that initially. Obviously, I'm reading prices, but I do not read off a script. The real killer here, price-wise, is the 77-inch, which is the one that I actually ordered. So I ordered that today as I was on the phone with Robert, though I can't name him as far as giving me that price. I have these prices from another source, but I went ahead and just ordered it. My CX I couldn't put it in my house right now anyway. My room is being unfortunately torn apart, but they're so close in price to what I paid in the fall for my CX that the GX with the Evo panel to me would be worth it. And it's obviously worth it for the channel for me to have. I already have a CX, by the way. I have a CX compared to the GX. So I'll be looking at the GX. I'll do a separate video on my thought process on the GX versus the A90J. But those are the prices for them. And actually, we're going to cover that a little bit, now, is I do feel LG is able to sneak in the way of their G Gallery series lineup is more positioned as their C-Class in years past. Then they're kind of keeping their C-Class more at a middle lineup, which it's really always been because it wasn't that elegant design, but they're all OLEDs. Even the Vizio OLEDs are still elegant looking. They're just thin, they're minimalist. And then they're going to have their, I think, the A series, which I don't have prices for that as in here at all. But that is ridiculously competitive pricing. I was completely wrong. So whoever I was fighting with in the comments, I apologize. We were having a discussion. Even though I don't have that solid, 77 inches at $42.99. The LG CX right now at 77 inches is $32.99. So before I go on to the next pricing, where does that leave you guys that have CXs? To me, the C1 and the CX are going to be identical. But I just have that on my own thought process. Other than the gaming features and the retooling of the processor, they're going to be identical as far as I'm concerned. There's some rumors that there'll be a step back. Some of us feel that maybe it is. I think the only way it'll be a step back is if it's super expensive and it's the same TV. In theory, that would be a step back because it wouldn't be the value. I don't see that happening. We're 10 minutes in. I don't want to keep this too long. We'll do a separate video on why I'm looking to choose what I choose. Now, quickly, before I continue, when we talk about price drops, for those of you that don't know, one of you guys recently bought the AAH. It fell in price. You can contact the retailer, typically the large retailers, Best Buy, Amazon, Costco. Amazon, I think, does it automatically. If you're still within your return window, some return windows are very small. If you just bought a TV not that long ago, they will typically refund you the money, and one of these guys ended up with like $500. So shout out to him. Good job. Now, if you missed that return window, keep in mind it's a few $100s, and you still got a beautiful display, and unfortunately, that's the way these things work. I don't find this time fun, to be honest. And it's fun as somebody talking about it. And I think us as reviewers, smaller channels, larger channels, we cavalierly throw out prices, not really thinking about the fact that you just bought a panel. Or we can say, hey, wait, but you just bought one. So I don't ever want to do that. I'm always coming from the position of you guys. I know what it's like to buy things too early, too late. I get it. But you got to just roll with it. And I want to handle that with the sensitivity that it actually deserves. So the CX, the C1, if you're currently buying anything CX-wise, or if you're about to pull the trigger on the CX, let the C1 completely launch. Not pre-orders, let it come out, let it launch. I'm looking at end of May for the G1. I'm not positive when the C1 will be. You can order it now as a matter of fact. But once you start seeing those in store, you start seeing those in your Best Buys, start to look for this very small window where the CX is going to drop. But OLEDs historically aren't around for a long time. The A9G was around because it was carried over. I mean, they were still building them. The CX production is done. So if you really want a CX, and right now, even if this TV launches at $300 or $400 more, you're still saving $300 or $400. Grab it, but there's this really small window when it launches that there'll be a little bit of them left. Try to time that. But if you're worried about missing out on it, then you're going to pay a little bit more for it. And that's kind of my strategic thought process or logic on it. The other pricing being the Samsung Q900A Mini LED 8K Neo. Its list price is $10,999, which is extremely expensive. Its mini map price, which is the mini advertisement price, is what Robert says will launch at probably about $8,999. That is crazy expensive. However, keep in mind, it is 85 inches. It is 8K Neo. I personally think Samsung, wanting to be the first ones with 12-bit panels, wanting to be the first ones with a lot of these gaming features that LG has, wanting to be the first one, I think they're all about just being first. And I think that 4K mini LEDs, you're seeing them get hit with blooming. You're seeing them not perform well online. Could that be that they haven't been updated yet? I don't know. I'll do a separate video on that as well of what I speculate. But my opinion with Samsung is their LEDs have been getting weaker every year, and they put their efforts, meaning that to me the Q9FN was as good as it got, and they kind of lessened them as they go on. Then when they got into the 900R and the 900TS, the 950TS, their efforts and their engineering, and in my opinion, their talent is going there. Real quick shout out to my boy Ian. from the UK. Ian, I will cover your Q90R lack of eArc. That video is still coming for those of you that are waiting. So shout out to Ian, my boy Ian from the UK. They're not going to update eArc. So for those of you waiting for that update, I'll do a separate video on that. So shout out to Ian. Ian, I'll get to you. I know I'm mad behind with the videos. So my thoughts I think that this 8K Samsung is going to be off the charts. I think it's going to be stunning. But I do feel the reason you're underwhelmed with what you're seeing with the mini LEDs that are out now is I think a lot of the talent is being pushed to 8K. It doesn't mean that the Q90 mini LED is not a great panel. I need to see it for myself. To be able to trust what I see, and I'll see one at Value Electronics at some point. So if you bought one of these mini LEDs from Samsung and you're watching this video now, please in detail in your comments, tell me your experience on it. We are a community. So you in the comments telling me your experience with whatever panel you have, don't worry about getting jumped on. I want to know. I want to know if you have one of these Samsung mini LEDs and if you have a lot of blooming or black crush. Now keep in mind too, another separate video for this one, just like the TCL 8 series, those Samsungs may be updated to help with the black crush. The TCL 8 series had that initially, and from what a lot of you guys are telling me, has been totally updated, and a lot of that's been removed. So it's not great that that's the case, but it still may be the case. So that is my Samsung news. You'll see hands-on time with it from me. I'm going to start trying to get down to those store or Value Electronics at night. That way I don't have so many reflections. They have huge windows, and I'll be able to show you more of that. Now, here's the speculation that a lot of you guys are waiting for. And again, I cannot quote anybody on price for this, but what I have is the NANO Mini LED. I don't even know if it's called Qned anymore, if they got hit for that, but you're looking at some very competitive pricing. Now, you saw in Value Electronics the other day, the NANO AK and Robert's tour. Now, if I pulled you out of that video and said, show me the IPS panel on the floor, that Nano might not get picked up. It doesn't look like an IPS panel. The challenge with that panel is that it's 75 inches and it's 8K, which is fine, but them having 86-inch panels for years, it was a no-brainer to have an 86-inch Nano 8K. And that 8K was still relatively expensive. These mini LEDs are much more aggressive in terms of price, also considering that they're 8K. So let's start off with that. 65 inches, you're looking at $2,999. These are, again, prices that I can't confirm where they're from, but the 75 inches is $3,499. And at 86 inches, which is insane because that's the monster, you're looking at $4,999. Sorry for that interruption. I actually had my little friend. You guys have seen this kitten, Miracle, that my wife and I rescued on Thanksgiving. Some of you guys have been wondering how she's doing. She is doing amazing. She is a sweetheart. But I was in the middle of reading those NanoCell prices or Nano Mini LED prices, and she jumped in. But I think she wanted to say hi. Say hi, Miracle. You guys are animal lovers. I have 2 dogs as well. But she is doing amazing if you guys were curious to how she was doing. But she scared the bejesus out of me. Say hi. Hi. All right. Random video, I know. I'm all over the map, hand in the camera. So to reiterate, those Nano Mini LED prices, you're looking at 86 inches, $4,999, 75 inches, $34.99, 65 inches, $29.99. Again, the only prices I can actually connect with Robert and Value Electronics would be the Samsung price and the C1 prices. The other ones are from distributors and other people I know in the industry that I cannot disclose their names, but I will give, I have to connect Robert to those. And we'll have them. We'll see that panel. We're also looking forward to Sony's 950J, X950J. That'll be out, unfortunately, in the summer. I will have one of those at home. I'm going to bring one of those home, so you'll see that one as well. So what do I make of these pricing? This pricing, which this video is all about. I know it's getting long, but again, we're a discussion-based channel here. So for me, the G1 and the C-Suite, the C type panels, the C1s are aggressively priced. So it shows me they're going after Sony in that regard. Now keep in mind the A90J is a completely different animal in regards to having a heat sink and being brighter. The G1, watch my cat, where you going? The G1 Evo is achieving its brightness in a different way by having that Evo panel. I don't predict or don't think it'll be as bright as the A90J. So here's my thought process though. If I'm in, especially if you look at the C1's prices, if I'm walking into the store and I'm just the regular person that loves TVs, and I see, and I did this with the A9G, if I have the C1 at 83 inches at $6,000, and then I have the 83-inch A90J next to it, as beautiful as the A90J is, just like as beautiful as the A9G was, a lot of times their eyes go back to this one. They'll see that it's $2,000 cheaper. I believe the A90J is going to be $8,000 at 83 inches. Now that this pricing has become more public, or at least the C1 pricing is public, you might see it be more affordable. But I think with Sony's A80J pricing, which is now out there and is on the website, I should have included that here, but I'm going to do a separate video on the A80J and the A90J. We'll compare those prices. So that'll be in a separate vid, but it's very aggressive from LG. And it's amazing for us. Now, we talked about this with TCL and Vizio and those brands. I personally think those brands excelling, being Hisense, TCL, Vizio, when they push and they go 8K Mini LED, I do feel even the big three find a way to be more competitive. Now, even though it looks like LG is going right after Samsung and mostly Sony, I think that they developed the panels. They're able to, come in at a lower price point. I think that they want to be more common instead of more of that elite, unaffordable. I think Samsung doesn't have to worry about that because literally they have so many different panels, from their crystal panels all the way their Samsungs that are in Walmart, and they just have it all covered. They're the #1 brand as far as sales. I don't think they have to bend the knee to anybody, and I think that's why you're not seeing them with Dolby Vision. I think that they don't feel that they have to, and who am I to say that they have to? Anyway, but why the LG Nano Mini LED is fascinating is I do feel, I've heard claims from the industry where they're looking at 3,000 nits, which would be incredible. If they can deliver something like that and give you a decent black level with the HDMI 2.1 features, it's going to be, the sleeper hit. And I'm going to give Brass Tacks a shout out because him and I were just talking, and, me, him, and Shane from Spare Change, my boy Shane, that you've seen on the channel a million times, and at Value Chocks, shout out to Shane, is that we were talking and Brass came out of nowhere and said he thought the Mini LED LG was going to be the sleeper hit TV. So we'll see. I'm a little speculative on that because the NanoCell was marketed as being kind of what you're hearing, and I don't think it ever really reached that as far as the Nano. There was a lot of blooming on them. They really struggled. They were clearly IPS panels, so there was a couple good models, but I was underwhelmed by them. But with this price point, 65 inches, again, they're 8K. Think about 75 inches at $34.99 for 8K. And then looking at the 86-inch monster at 5K, that's a very aggressive pricing. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Special thank you to Robert Zohn of Value Electronics. You guys have seen me in that store. It's not a new relationship. I'm not also being endorsed. We are close friends. We definitely help each other out. But don't worry about me being bought by anybody. They're just great people, and I have a great relationship with them. And it just helps me bring you more information. And I'm still recommending panels that aren't sold there. So don't worry about that. But special shout out to Robert and Wendy Zohn of Value Electronics for a lot of this information, and also to the unnamed sources that I can't disclose. But even if they aren't spot on, they are ballpark. All right, guys, thank you as always. I will see you in the comments. I'm sorry that I'm behind in the comments. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if this changes your thought process on what you're looking to purchase. All right, guys, I will see you. Take care.